Hello everyone, myself Monica. Today I am going to explain about CSS and HTML forms in web technology. HTML forms. HTML provides the structure and content of the form, while CSS is used to style and lay out the form elements. There are some common HTML form elements, that is form, input, label, select and text area. Form is used to create a container for the form elements, and input is used to create different types of form controls like text boxes, radio buttons, checkboxes, and more. Label is used to associate a label with a form control, providing context and meaning to the control. Select is used to create a drop-down list for users to select one or more options from. Text area is used to create a larger text input area for users to enter multiple lines of text. CSS forms. CSS is used to style and lay out these form elements, making them visually appealing and user-friendly. CSS can be used to change the color, font, size, and position of form elements. Some examples of CSS styling for forms include changing the font and font size of the form elements, setting a background color for the form or individual form elements, adding borders to form elements to create a clear separation between them, changing the size and shape of form controls like checkboxes and radio buttons, changing the color and style of the form submit button. Overall, HTML and CSS work together to create forms that are easy to use and visually appealing. This is an example code for CSS and HTML. This is a basic HTML template that includes an empty form element and a style element for adding CSS styles. The form element will contain the input fields for the form. This section contains CSS styles for the form. Here is what each rule does. That is, this section contains CSS styles for the form. Form sets a style gray background, a border and padding for the form. It also sets the width to 400 pixels and centers the form horizontally on the page. Label input displays the label and input elements as blocks with the margin bottom of 10 pixels. Label makes the label text bold. Styles the text input fields and selects menu with a border radius and padding. It also sets the width to 100% to make the input fields fill the entire width of the form. Input type submit. Input type submit styles the submit button with a green background color, white text padding and a border radius. It also sets the cursor to a pointer and adds a margin top of 10 pixels to provide some spacing between the button and the input fields. Input type submit hover adds a hover effect to the submit button by changing the background color to a darker shade of green. This is the actual form that the user will see and interact with. It includes 3 input fields: name, email and gender. The name and email fields are required, which means that the user must fill them out before submitting the form. The gender field is a select menu with 3 options: male, female and other. Finally, there is a submit button. In this example, the CSS styles the form with a light gray background, border and padding. The labels and inputs are displayed as blocks with a margin bottom of 10 pixels to provide some spacing between them. The input fields are styled with a border radius and padding to make them more visually appealing. Finally, the submit button is styled with a green background color, white text, and a hover effect. There are some more CSS forms and HTML forms. That is form validation, CSS frameworks, styling form elements, responsive design, accessibility, and HTML form submission. HTML5 introduced a new feature for form validation that can be implemented with the required attribute. This attribute can be used to ensure that a form field is filled out before it can be submitted. It can also be used for other types of validation like email, phone number, or URL validation. There are many CSS frameworks available that can be used to quickly and easily create forms with pre-built styles and layouts. Examples of popular CSS framework include Bootstrap Foundation and Materialize. CSS can be used to style form elements like checkboxes, radio buttons, and select menus. This can help to make forms more visually appealing and improve the user experience. It's important to ensure that forms are responsive and can be easily viewed and filled out on different screen sizes. CSS media queries can be used to adjust the layout and style of form elements for different screen sizes. When designing forms, it's important to consider accessibility for users with disabilities. This can include using appropriate labels for form elements, providing alternative text for images, and ensuring that forms can be easily navigate using a keyboard. HTML forms can be submitted to a server-side script using various methods like get, post, and AJAX. The server-side script can then process the form data and take appropriate actions based on the input. This form includes three input fields: name, email, and gender. The name and email fields are required, and the gender field is a select menu with three options. The form data can be submitted to a server-side script using the get or post method depending on how the form is configured. Thank you.
Thank you, Aita.